Now, it's okay to have desires, but it's a problem when those desires become our God. Whether it's beauty, money, fame, we are we risk putting ourselves in compromising situations. Hey everyone, it's Natalie Grace. Welcome to my channel, Grace of Bell. I'm gonna grab something in my teeth. I can feel it. Probably good. Okay. Welcome to Grace of Bell. Today we are talking about something that is so not new under the sun. It's been here forever, but I think we are seeing it in a new dimension today. And that subject is vanity, and particularly vanity, beauty, and identity. When we hear the word vanity, we often picture someone who is all about their looks, all over the selfies. They think they're the most beautiful thing in God's creation, that kind of person. Um, and while that is one way vanity shows up, it is much more. Vanity is usually more sneaky, and it is an over concern about other people's perception of us. So it's not necessarily thinking that you are the most beautiful person in the room. On the contrary, it is often an insecurity that keeps you fixated on your image and measuring up to a certain standard. And I want to be clear that there is nothing wrong with desiring beauty, wanting to feel beautiful, caring about your outward appearance. Of course, I put on my makeup to come on here. I obviously care. And that in itself is not a problem. It's natural for all of us to care about our appearance. And I believe that there's honor in valuing your appearance. But your priorities matter. The key really lies in your priorities and how much weight you put on this to define your worth. Because here is the thing, and this is the truth: vanity will keep you in bondage. Now, I'm going to share a biblical story that really speaks to this. So, most people are familiar with King David, the humble shepherd boy who defeated Goliath and eventually became king. If you're not familiar, then you might know the statue of David in Italy. That's a big one. But David is probably one of the most mentioned people in the Bible. But before David, Saul was chosen to be king of Israel. He was chosen by the people. And Saul had the appearance and the presence that kind of fit the bill for a king. He looked like a king. And Saul had flaws, jealousy being one of them. But jealousy wasn't the ultimate reason for Saul's downfall. The reason came down to his vanity and his need for validation. Because in this pivotal moment when Saul was to follow God's instructions, he compromised. He decided to satisfy what the people thought of him versus what God asked of him. And it was in that moment that God declared he would leave Saul and seek a man after his own heart, who was David. And that just reveals a critical flaw in Saul's priorities, because he was willing to compromise really who the call that God had for him. He was compromising that just to satisfy public perception. And isn't it interesting that Saul is described as having the appearance and the image of what a king should look like? And it makes you wonder, did this kind of make him vulnerable to the trap of vanity and having concerns over maintaining a certain image to the public. Vanity can be the downfall of so many of us. And like the story of Saul shows, it draws us away from who we're called to be. And we are at risk for compromising our values and integrity in order for gain. And, it's okay to have desires, but it's a problem when those desires become our God, whether it's beauty, money, fame. We risk putting ourselves in compromising situations. And I believe that too many people today are worshiping beauty and image at far too unhealthy a measure. And it's become so normal that people don't even recognize where there's a problem. Like when so much of our life is dominated by social media and constant exposure to marketing and media on our phones, it's very easy for our world to become more about how we're perceived than who we truly are. And there's an agenda behind that. There is. I mean, there are industries making so much money off of people not feeling worthy enough, right? That's capitalism. That is always going to be the case. When we see 20-year-olds filled with obvious enhancements, there are people benefiting off of that, because it sends the message that no matter how beautiful or youthful you are, you could be more. And so people start to lust after these things, thinking that it will bring them fulfillment. But you have to recognize that there's only so much fulfillment you will get from that until the well runs dry. It's not pursuing beauty itself. It's not the cosmetics, the enhancements, or even the surgery that's the problem. None of those things are the problem. It's your heart posture and your priorities and how much weight you put on this thing to bring you fulfillment, to define your worth. And so when you find yourself choosing beauty over peace and affording groceries and rent, it might be a problem. When you feel completely crippled without what this thing will bring you, then there is an unhealthy alignment in your priorities. That thing is sucking more out of you than it is giving you. We have to recognize the difference. One thing about having your own children that's so beautiful is it convicts you of where you've fallen short. Because you look at this child and think, you are just so beautiful. You are so perfect. And I know people who having children was the beginning of their healing for self-image issues, because they see themselves for the first time recognized in their child, and they can see the deception that they've been under, because they can't get over how perfect this child is. And the idea of them thinking anything else is unbearable. You just can't think, you can't imagine them thinking otherwise. And any parent can understand what I'm talking about. And I'm saying this right now because I believe there's someone watching who needs to hear this. This is how God sees you. Perfect, unblemished, worthy as you are right now. Not when you get that thing, not through those clothes or when you get those enhancements. You are worthy as you are right now. And it pains him when you don't know this about yourself. And that is why you have to crush the idol of beauty, because it is not defining who you are. Other people's perception of you is not defining who you are. On my last birthday, I really sat with the idea of identity and beauty because I know I'm not old, but I am now at this age of being forever reminded how much younger I could look or what I could be doing now so that I can preserve my youth in X years, that kind of thing. So, and I'm not against enhancements or cosmetics or anything like that, but it just had me thinking, how I feel now, how I will feel in 10 years and 10 years after that. Um, and while these thoughts made me a little bit more uncomfortable than I care to admit, I also know that if we are just constantly chasing the world's standard of beauty or the world's approval, then we are just missing the mark. We're missing the mark on chasing something that is so much bigger and better, a much more profound beauty mark. Outward beauty is beautiful, but that's just it. It fades, it rots, and it's a shallow legacy at the end of the day. It's okay to appreciate outward beauty, but don't get your priorities wrong. God has a much more profound beauty legacy for you. Genuine, radiant beauty that blesses lives and doesn't fade with time. And I believe that is the beauty that happens when you let your light so shine before others that there is a radiance that cannot be bought from the world at a price. And the thing is, it shines outward. That is the beauty worth chasing. If you are someone watching this right now and you've experienced insecurities over your image, or you feel like vanity has taken root in your heart, then I just pray that you experience healthy alignment and that God makes you feel more beautiful than you can ever dream of. That He leads you to a path of beauty that is far better than anything you can imagine or anything you can buy. And it might not be exactly how you imagined it, but His ways are always better than our ways. So just trust. Now, I hope this blessed you today, and God bless. You are beautiful.